Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Our saviour, isn't it? Prabhupada's opening our eyes. We're born in ignorance, trying to get out of ignorance.
We sure were.
Giving us this wonderful knowledge.
So what text are we on today, Abhay?
Yeah, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text number 24. So we've already started.
24.
Yeah, 24 a couple of weeks ago, but we just talked about the translation. We read the translation. So this week we'll start the purport.
Yep.
Maybe finish the purport. It's a short purport. So we'll have a go at reciting the Sanskrit again, and then read the translation, and then start the purport. Sanuschayena yoktavyo.
Sanuschayena yoktayo.
Yogo nirvina cetasa.
Yogo nirvina cetasa.
Sankalpa prabhavan kamams.
Salkalpa prabhavan kamams.
Tyatva sarvana sheshata.
Dhyaktva savana satya.
Manasai vindriya gramam.
Manasai vindriya granmam.
Viniyamya samantata.
Viniyamya samatha.
Okay. Translation. Dr. Bob.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculations and thus control all the senses on all sides of the mind.
So it's recommended to practice yoga, but then the question is how to practice yoga. So that's given here some insight for us. So we should practice yoga with determination. So what is determination? I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago.
Not much help.
Determination. One Maharaj, I heard him say, but Mahavishnu Maharaj, it means to carry something through to the end. Finish it. You know, when you start something, anything, any project, right, you should finish it. That's determination. You're the ability to finish something you start. Whether it be Bob doing his exercises, you have to finish the course, or Bhakti Mala cooking her sweets or whatever, or muffins or cookies, fudge or whatever. You have to finish the recipes, isn't it? You have to finish it, you know, bake it and finish it. Don't just, what do they call it? Half-hearted.
Yeah.
Half-hearted, half pie, half-baked. Don't be half-baked. So you start something, finish it. So you started Bhakti Yoga, you met with the devotees and you started chanting, started reading. So carry it through the process, through to the end. Don't give up halfway or whatever like that. And this verse also talks about what can make us give up, you know, what can deviate us. Because it says here, not be deviated from the path. We practice yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. So there's things that can cause us to not finish the path. In this case, Bhakti Yoga, but you could apply this in anything. But things that can cause us to not finish.
Material desires for stuff.
Yeah, so that sort of mentions in the second half
and
of the
our senses.
Yeah, good one, Bob. The mind and the senses can take us away. That's what can deviate us. You know, senses. Two of the biggest traps that deviate practitioners from spiritual life. We talked about this on Saturday with the other group. that the two biggest traps is money and woman, or from a woman's point of view, money and men. So the opposite sex. So this can be big causes of deviation for a spiritual practitioner, that we get greedy after money and sucked into that way, and because of that, because we're running so hard after money, then what happens to our spiritual practice?
We bloop.
Yeah, we bloop. Yeah, so nothing happens. Nothing happens. That's the idea, right? If you're working so hard to get more and more money, then what time do you have to chant? What time do you have to associate with devotees? What time do you have to come to soul searching or whatever, any searching? No time, so busy. And that's mode of passion. So the material desires in Sanskrit's called calm or lust. So calm. And that fits into the
Is
mode.
that spelled C-A-L-M?
No, K.
Oh,
K for Krishna, A
A-R-M.
for apple, M for Mary, A for apple, karma.
Right.
Karma. Karma is, in English, it's lust. In Sanskrit, it's karma. So it basically means, material desires, material desires. So this material desires comes from the mode of passion, Rajaguna, the mode of passion. So too much mode of passion, then we get sucked into material desires, want more and more money, more and more material things. And then obviously you have to work hard to get them, to fulfill all those desires. And you have one desire and it's not like, well, that's going to be satisfied and that's the end of the story. No, then there's another desire and another one and another one and another one. Do you think material desires by themselves, they ever just stop? They become satisfied and they become stopped?
No.
Do you think even if you had a desire to become a millionaire, do you think when you got $1 million automatically it would just stop there?
No, they just escalate.
Yeah, then you'd want 2 million and 5 million and 10 million, 100 million. So that's one thing with material desires, they're never satisfied. You always want more and more. So, but one of the effects that has is you're going to have no time for your spiritual practice, so you get deviated. And yeah, and the opposite sex. I mean, yeah, if you all the time you're thinking about the opposite sex, obviously you're not thinking about Krishna. It's not possible. If your concentration and your meditation and your attraction is for the opposite sex, then obviously it's not, those things are not going to be there for Krishna. So these are some examples of some, which basically comes from material desires. And it says, it's saying here, all material desire is born of mental speculation. So it's good to know that all these desires that we have constantly going on, they're born from the mind. The mind has a tendency to speculate. You know what speculate means, right?
Yep.
So many concoctions. I mean, they have that saying, right? Fertile brain, fertile imagination. So there's like constantly things coming up in the mind. So many desires coming up from the mind. That's where the desires come from. You see, it's saying material desire is born of mental speculation. So the desires, they're born from the mind. So therefore, if you want to control the desires, what do you have to control?
The mind.
You have to control the mind. And like I've said many times, the foundation of any yoga, doesn't matter which yoga you follow, you have to control the mind. Astanga yoga, dhyana yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, buddhi yoga, doesn't matter what yoga, but it's all based on you have to control the mind. Because if you don't control the mind, then there's going to be so many desires it's going to take you away from your spiritual practice, your yoga practice. And I mean, even bhakti yoga is so powerful. If you practice it properly, it's very powerful. But still, there's so many obstacles, so many traps. And if you're not careful, it can easily be taken away. I mean, we know, through reading Prabhupada's books, that so many devotees left. Even in Prabhupada's time, there's devotees that left the movement. After Prabhupada left, so many devotees left. Some gurus fell down, blooped, and then so many of their disciples left. Even up to this day, so many people have started Bhakti Yoga, and at some point they leave Bhakti Yoga. So this is what it's talking about, that you can be deviated, but we should try our best not to be deviated. We should try to be determined. So we've started the process, so we should finish it. Don't go off onto something else. And what takes us off, like it said here, is the mind. So what's the best way to control the mind? If the main cause of our giving up our Krishna consciousness is the mind, so we need to control the mind. So what's the best way to control the mind?
Chanting, listening, and hearing.
Yeah, chanting. So we should make sure this is part of the determination. So make sure you finish your 16 rounds every day, because that's what I said determination means, right? You finish it. So the first instruction of the spiritual master, which means it's the most important instruction that Prabhupada gave, first and foremost, is chant 16 rounds. So we should make sure that we finish every day 16 rounds, and that will help us to control the mind. And those 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it takes us to chant 16 rounds, is our time in the day that we're spending with Krishna, because the name of Krishna is Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shudo Nichamukdo Binatvam Nama Namano. So that's a verse about some of the glories of the holy name, saying that the person Krishna and the name Krishna are identical. There's no difference. The name is a touchstone. It's going to completely purify us and turn us into an ecstatic, blissful soul. If we keep chanting, we're going to become just like Krishna. We're going to become happy and eternal and full of knowledge. We're just like Krishna. If we keep chanting this holy name, we're going to be Krishnized. We're not going to become Krishna, but we're going to become like Krishna if we keep chanting. So that, we should be determined. We should be determined. We must chant our 16 rounds every day. I mean, one devotee, Vadnath Maharaj, he noticed over the years that before any devotee blooped, they stopped chanting their 16 rounds. Then after they stopped chanting their rounds, then deviated. Maya somehow took them away. Remember, where are we living? We're living in the kingdom of Maya, in the kingdom of illusion. She's very powerful. Prabhupada said if Maya just looks at you sidelong glance, just glances at you, you'll completely finish, you fall down. I mean, she's so powerful. The energy of Krishna, that Maya or Durga is the energy of Krishna. She's very powerful. And she's going to test us how sincere, how serious we are to serve Krishna. And if we're not very sincere, not very serious, then probably she's going to take us out. So we have to, be very determined to follow what Prabhupada's given us, especially chanting 16 rounds, and of course, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. These things. This keeps us in the mode of goodness. Those things, following those 4 regulated principles, starting with no meat eating, keeps us in the sattva guna, the mode of goodness. And that's the best and purest existence, to be in the material world. And otherwise, if we eat meat, intoxication, illicit sex, and gamble, though that puts us immediately in the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. And the mode of passion, ignorance, is not possible to progress in spiritual life. The best position to progress spiritually is in the mode of goodness. If we're passionate and ignorant, then not possible. So we should follow those those guidelines that Prabhupada's given us for our benefit. And then it mentions here faith. So we should practice yoga with determination. Also faith. Faith is an interesting word. In Sanskrit, it's shraddha. So shraddha means that very firm faith. What do we have faith in? Firm faith that simply, this is very important, this definition, very, very important for us. Firm faith that just by acting in Krishna consciousness, then all success is there, all perfection is there. We don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do anything else. If you just act in Krishna consciousness, you'll achieve all success, all perfection. You don't need to do any other activities. You don't need to try to please anyone else. You don't have to try to please the government or please your family or save the whales or, give to the blind foundation or, become win lotto or anything like that. You don't have to become CEO. No other activities are necessary for us to become happy and our lives perfect. All we need to do is to act in Krishna consciousness. And then automatically everything else is completed. Means if Krishna is pleased, then automatically you've achieved all other lesser goals. Like, for example, right? If you have $1 million, $10 is included. You understand that? $10 is within $1 million, right?
Yep.
$100 is within it.
Yep.
1,000, 10,000,
Yep.
100,000, 900,000. So everything is within $1 million. If you have $1 million, you've got all those other things is there. So it means if you have Krishna consciousness, if you're engaged in devotional service and Krishna is pleased by your service, you're Krishna conscious, then automatically the demigods are pleased with you. You don't have to do any other activity to please Indra, to please the moon god, the sun god, the wind god, this Tom, Dick, and Harry. You don't have to please anyone else. You don't have to please the forefathers, the ancestors. You don't have to please, even family members, serve family members, the cows, the government, like I said, anything, anyone, because all those things are included within Krishna. It means within Krishna, all the demigods are there within Krishna. The whole universe is within Krishna. If you please Krishna, you don't have to satisfy everyone else in the universe. All the living entities are within Krishna. So you don't have to I have to satisfy all the Kiwis and all the Aussies and all the Indians and all the animals and you can't do that anyway. You couldn't if you tried. But if you just please Krishna, then automatically you're serving everyone automatically. So that understanding is called faith. If you have conviction about, if you're convinced about that. I just need to please Krishna. If Krishna is pleased, then my life is successful. My life is perfect. I don't have to serve anyone else. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. Just by serving Krishna, if you just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's pleased, that's all you need to do. You don't have to do anything else. If you did nothing else in your life, but your life would be completely successful. But if you did everything else except for please Krishna, except for serve Krishna, you serve your government, you serve your family, you serve the ancestors, you serve the cows, you serve everything, and you didn't serve Krishna, sorry, you're stuffed. Your life is completely useless, and at the end of this life, you have to come back again and continue the cycle of birth and death because you haven't been Krishna conscious. So,
what about if we're serving Krishna? Does that mean that we don't have to worry about pleasing the devotees?
Don't twist my words. Don't twist my words. So yeah. So why do we serve the devotees? For the pleasure of Krishna. Because Krishna loves his devotees. So it pleases Krishna very much for us to serve the devotees. So why do we serve the devotees? Because it pleases Krishna. You know, why do we forget about just the devotees? Why do we respect all living entities? Why do we respect the non-devotees?
Well, because Krishna loves everybody.
Yeah, Krishna, because everybody is his children. You know, even the non-devotees are his children, even the animals. You know, that's why thou shalt not kill. You know, why we don't kill animals, because the animals are also the souls, and the animals are also his children. And we don't want to inflict suffering on them and interfere with their spiritual journey, their spiritual progress. So it's, you know, so that's also done in Krishna consciousness. So the point is that whatever a devotee does, he's doing for the pleasure of Krishna. You know, how he's interacting with his parents to please Krishna, how he's interacting with his children to please Krishna, how he's interacting with his friends to please Krishna, how he's interacting with his workmates to please Krishna, how he's interacting with the neighbors to please Krishna, you know, in Krishna consciousness. So, but it's all Krishna consciousness. It's not just the time you spend with the blue boy who plays a flute, that's Krishna consciousness, and the whole rest of it's Maya. No, it's all meant to be Krishna conscious, because it's all Krishna's energy. So a Krishna conscious person deals with Krishna's energy the way that Krishna wants. Does that make sense? If you do like that, your whole life Krishna consciousness, then there is no Maya. Do you understand? Then there's no Maya. We say the material world's Maya, but the material world is Maya for those that forget Krishna consciousness. But if you are in Krishna consciousness, there is no material world. You know what that means? It's all Krishna's energy. It means it's all spiritual. For a pure devotee of Krishna, this world is also the spiritual world, because it's Krishna's energy. Earth is Krishna's energy, water is Krishna's energy, fire is Krishna's energy, the mind is Krishna's energy, everything, the body, the senses, everything is Krishna's energy. So the only Maya is when we forget Krishna, but if you're not forgetting Krishna, there's no Maya. Like there's a verse that says, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andakar Yahan Krishna Tane Maidikar. Krishna's like the sun. This is a good one to help you to remember. Krishna is like the
sun.
Maya is like the
dark.
Not the moon, the dark.
Darkness. So wherever there is Krishna, there is no Maya. You get that?
Yep.
Krishna is like the sun, Maya is like the darkness. So wherever there is Krishna, there's no Maya. So as long as we're in Krishna consciousness, then there's no Maya, there's no darkness. And as soon as you forget Krishna, then that's all there is. Everything is Maya. Everything is darkness. So yeah, that's faith. That's simply by my acting in Krishna consciousness, then everything's complete. Everything's successful. I don't have to do anything else. Then my whole life's perfect. So that's how we should execute yoga, is with determination. You start it, you have to finish it. With faith, so just try to please Krishna, and then not be deviated. So then don't get sucked in by the mind. You know, you got to control the mind. So that comes back to that. So you have to control your mind. If the mind's controlled, then your desires are controlled. If you don't control your mind, it means your desires get out of control. Because remember, desires are born from the mind. When the mind is not controlled, then the desires are constantly coming out. What happens with the devotee's mind? The devotee fixes his mind on Krishna. So therefore, it doesn't mean the devotee has no desires, but the desires also in relationship with Krishna. Say, okay, my mind's fixed on, I want to please Krishna. So, and from the nature I have, I can do that through, say, growing fruits and vegetables. So, I'm desiring, today I'm going to plant, okra for Krishna. Sweet potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower,
Beans.
Whatever. What did you say, Bob?
Beans.
Beans for Krishna. So you're thinking so many desires. I got to plant this. Today I had to go and get some sawdust for the garden. I got it from a farmer. So I had to think about that, desired to get that. Then I desired to cut the weeds. There's so many weeds and bugs and everything getting into the trees. So I cut the grass. So, a lot of desires, but all those desires are connected with serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. So it's controlling the mind doesn't mean the desires are stopped, but it means controlling the mind means your desires will be in relationship to Krishna. They're not going to be disconnected from Krishna. They're going to be connected to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. Like the Bhagavad Gita, right? In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, what was Arjuna's desire?
Do you mean not to fight?
Yeah, not to fight. That was his desire, which came from his mind. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, what was Arjuna's desire?
He was happy to join in the fight. He was happy to fight.
He was happy to join in the fight. So that was a different desire than in the beginning. He desired not to fight. Why? Because that pleased his senses. That was pleasing his mind and his senses. But at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he desired to fight, which was for the pleasure of who?
Krishna.
For Krishna, not for himself. It was still the same situation for himself. It didn't please him to fight. He didn't want to fight. But by the end, he realized, well, Krishna's God. Krishna wants me to fight, then I should fight to please him. Even though I still don't want to fight. I still don't want to kill. It's not that he was happy to kill his family members after hearing from Krishna. But after hearing from Krishna, he realized that he just has to do his duty to please Krishna, to serve Krishna. So he changed his desires. So it didn't mean that after hearing Krishna, then Arjuna's mind was like a void, was like zero, like nothing happening inside. No, it wasn't. His mind was still going. His desires were still desires, but it was just connected to Krishna. Do you understand?
Yep.
It's not that he became just like a stone after hearing from Krishna. His mind became completely empty, no desires in his mind. He became just like a dead stone. No. Actually, after hearing from Krishna, Arjuna became more active. He fought like anything. He was more active. It means there was more desire thereafter he became Krishna conscious. So it's a matter of, so material desire means a desire to please our own self. A spiritual desire is a desire to please Krishna. So it doesn't say here that you have to abandon spiritual desires, does it? It just says you have to abandon material desires. I mean, it doesn't even say abandon without exception all desires. But see, every word Prabhupada puts here is important. So he says here in the translation, one should abandon without exception all material desires. It doesn't even say all desires. It just says all material desires. So it means for our own pleasure. And so all those ones for our own pleasure, we have to abandon that. And instead of that, we have desires, we're spiritual desires for Krishna's pleasure, to serve Krishna. And that's going on in the devotee's mind. The devotee's mind is always active. I want to make some garland for Krishna. I want to decorate the deity very nicely. I want to decorate the temple. I want to clean the temple for Krishna. I want to make a garden for Krishna and plant so many flowers and so many vegetables, so many fruits. I want to go out and chant, Krishna's name so people can find out about Krishna. I want to distribute books for Krishna. There's so many desires going on in the devotee's mind, but they're all in relationship to Krishna and for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's yoga. So our whole life is connected with Krishna. Does that make sense?
Yep, sure does.
Yeah. So this is how we practice yoga, with determination, with faith, and without being deviated. You have to keep very one-pointed. Let's look at a verse which talks about this being one-pointed and not deviating. Chapter 2, text 41. Hey, Jayanti. I think it's 41, chapter 2, text 41. Whoever finds it can read it.
Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening to the cuckoo in the background. It's very nice.
Do you want me to shut the door? Is it really loud?
It's so nice. I like these natural sounds.
Yeah, there's lots of birds around here.
It's a cuckoo. Yeah, lovely. We used to have them at Nugakula. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, I am the sound in ether, which means in space. Jayanti? I am the sound in ether. So any sound we hear, any natural sound like that, the birds and the breeze going through the trees and stuff, immediately we should think of Krishna. But sound is originally coming from Krishna. It's Krishna's energy. And that way we can become Krishna conscious just by listening to the birds.
That's why I got that wind chime.
Yeah.
Because whenever it blows, I think of the wind, and then I think of Krishna.
Sounds come from Krishna.
It's really nice, yeah.
Nice.
I'm fortunate enough to have the bellbirds where I am.
Oh, bellbirds are lovely too.
Yeah, every day. Every day they're there.
Yeah. So yeah, this verse is talking about how a devotee is very one-pointed, attention, very focused. So just focused on Krishna, pleasing Krishna. But like I said, even though he's focused on Krishna, it doesn't mean he's not going to interact with devotees or he's not going to interact with family or whatever. Yeah, but that's still for the pleasure of Krishna. But that's the central point of all relationships, is Krishna. And that verse is saying that those are not Krishna conscious, they're many branched. Their mind, a fertile brain, is in all directions. Now, those that are irresolute or not Krishna conscious, and that verse is saying 241, many branched. So that means there's got so many material desires. If I get this, I'll be happy, and then if I get that, I'll be happy. And then that didn't make me happy, so then I need this to be happy, and she didn't make me happy, so I got to find another one to make me happy, and this money didn't make me happy, so I've got to get some more money to make me happy, and this car didn't make me happy, so I got to get another one. And so it's constantly so many desires coming and going. The mind is regurgitating so much stuff again and again. So it's all over the place. If I get rid of these enemies, I'll be happy. And then, then I've got to establish my empire, and then I'll be happy. And then I've got to, get this position and this power, and I'll be happy. And so the desires of the mind, so many. But a devotee is very simple. Very simple. I can just do a little service, chant Hare Krishna, bas. Bas means enough. You'll hear devotees say that during prasadam time.
What do they say?
Bus, B-A-S, bus.
Oh, bus, that's right.
Not bus like on the road.
Yep,
This
bus.
is B-A-S, bus. not BUS. So if you've eaten enough, generally what happens, the culture is you put your hands over your plate. Have you seen that before? When the devotee's had enough, he puts the hand, you'll see that at the temple sometimes. The Indian people generally will do. If you're serving and they've had enough, then they'll put their hands over the meal. And they'll say, maybe sometimes they'll say bas. Bas means enough. So it means just I have a little bit of prasadam, I've done a little bit of service, chant Hare Krishna, bas. That's enough, satisfied. So very focused, very simple life of a devotee. We should try to practice that. And like it said, this is yoga practice. We have to practice it. Okay, so let's go back to our verse for the day, 624, and read the purport. Prabhupada starts off, yoga practitioner. So yeah, we have to practice. You have to practice whatever yoga you're following, you should practice it. If you don't practice it, if you say, oh, I believe in yoga, I believe in Krishna, I believe in Christ, but you don't do anything, then you're a useless person. Completely useless. And you're what we call a hypocrite, isn't it? Someone that says something, but they don't do what they say, we call that hypocrisy. And that's the meaning of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, what does Kali Yuga mean?
Quarrel and hypocrisy.
Yeah, quarrel and hypocrisy.
And the other word I picked up is pudge.
Pudge?
Pudge.
What's that?
Isn't that a Sanskrit for bhakti?
Huh?
That's
budge.
What is it?
Budge.
Budge.
B-A.
Not pudge. Budge, is it?
Not pudge.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Budge.
If it's what I think you're meaning.
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't it Sanskrit for bhakti?
Yeah. Yeah. Budge. B-H.
Budge. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was close.
Oh, that's back to front.
Okay, I got it. B-H-A-J.
The computer makes it go back to front.
Budge. I got it.
B-A-J. So budge means worship. That's budge. So you could say that. Budge. Yeah.
Budge.
We're worshipping Krishna, budge. Krishna, budge. Yeah, so yeah, we have to practice. We don't want to be, there's no use in practicing hypocrisy. We're not going to get anywhere, you know, because what I mean, you might be able to cheat so many people by hypocrisy, by some cheating, you know, words, you know, pretending something. But is that going to take you anywhere with Krishna? If you just why is that not going to be successful in Krishna consciousness, hypocrisy?
He would know you're a rascal.
He knows you're a rascal. Bob's hit it on the button. He knows because he's in your heart. You can't cheat Krishna. You can't hide from Krishna. Krishna knows if you haven't done anything for him, or if you've done 50% for him, or you've done 100% for him. And you can tell everyone else, I'm 100% Krishna conscious. But Krishna knows the real truth, you know, it's like 0%, you know, 1%, you know, so you can fool everyone else. You can fool everyone else some of the time. What is it saying? You can
fool some of the people some of the time.
Yeah, like
isn't
that.
it? But not all the people all of the time. Is that what it says?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But you can fool all of the people some of the time. Some of the people all the time. You can't fool Krishna anytime, you know. So that's a twist on that saying. You know, so it's really between us and Krishna, you know. If we want to please Krishna, then we try to be sincere. You know, you can't make up anything, you know, with Krishna. So yeah, we want to try to do it. And it doesn't mean, and Krishna knows also, you can't do 100%. That's okay. You're just trying your best. If your best is 20%, then Krishna's cool with that. That's your best. You know, like we said before, if you go to a temple and one man puts $1,000 in the donation box, big donation, and he's got 100 grand in his bank, and a guy comes in and puts $1 in the donation box, and that's all he had was $1. Which is more pleasing to Krishna, the $1?
The man with the dollar.
The man with the dollar, because Krishna knows he gave all he had. You know, that's as best as he could do. And the other guy, he wasn't very impressed because he only gave, 1%. He only gave 1%. The other guy gave 100%. So it's said that Krishna doesn't just see what you give, he sees what you don't give. Like that. So Krishna knows what we've got in reserve, But if you're trying your best, if you don't have much, whether it be physical strength or not very intellectual, or you're come from a difficult background or a difficult family background or whatever like that, then Krishna knows, and you're trying your best according to your circumstances, and he's cool with that. He's happy with that. So, okay. Bhakti-Mala, you want to start reading the purport?
Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, very well.
The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, one can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness.
So Upadeshamrita 3, that means nectar of instruction. So that's that little book, Nectar of Instruction, the 3rd verse, very nice verse. There are 6 things that will make sure that our bhakti is successful. The last line says Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. So that means that these 6 things, Sadbir is 6, Bhakti means devotional service, and Prasiddhyati means like successful. So if you do these 6 things, then you will be successful in your bhakti, in your devotional service. So these are very important. So Prabhupada's mentioning it because it ties up with the verse, because it mentions here about because determination in this verse, but in the Nectar of Instruction it talks about enthusiasm. So that's very similar. The word determination and enthusiasm is very similar meaning. Because to be able to, because we said determination means finish it, right? To finish, you start something and you finish it. But the only way you're going to be able to carry something through and finish it is if you're enthusiastic. Without enthusiasm, you can't do anything. I mean, you can't get out of bed unless you're enthusiastic. You understand?
Yeah.
And you require enthusiasm even to roll out of bed, to get out of bed. If you don't get out of bed, it means you have zero enthusiasm.
And Abhay, I also think discipline is something that we don't have in the society today.
Yes. Yeah. And discipline means controlling the mind. Yeah. So yeah, mind's out of control. The senses are out of control. The mind's out of control. Yeah. So that comes into this verse too. So, and that's where it says tat tat karma pavartanat in the Nectar of Instruction, where it says by following the prescribed duties. So following prescribed duties. So that's tat tat karma pavartanat. So that will help us to control the mind, because the mind says, oh, I want to stay in bed, I'm tired, oh, I didn't have a good sleep, I'm tired, I'm going to stay in bed. But then you have the rule, the rule given by the scriptures, by the Guru, says you have to get out of bed early in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. So that rule is saving us. If you grab onto that rule, I mean, I experienced that, I definitely, when I started Krishna consciousness, I wasn't used to getting out of bed early in the morning, but I did. You had to get out of bed early, and it made it easier when you're living in a temple full of people that also follow that rule, and you got everyone getting out of bed. Like at Nugo Cooler, if you're at Nugo Cooler, it's easier, isn't it? Because the majority are getting out of bed early in the morning, so you feel like you're the odd one out, isn't it, if you don't get out of bed because everyone else is getting out of bed. If you're all by yourself, it's a little bit harder to do that, but the rule is still there. So that's what helps us. Otherwise, the mind just beats us up. But see, these guidelines that the scriptures give us, that Prabhupada's giving us, this is our saving grace. This is our saving grace. Saying, get out of bed early, chant Hare Krishna, read the scriptures, associate with devotees, take prasadam, don't have intoxication. So these guidelines, they're guiding us. They're saving us from our mind is just thrashing us. Our mind is constantly thrashing us. But if we follow these guidelines, then the mind can't do that anymore. The mind can't do that anymore as long as we follow these guidelines. So then what happens? The mind will still do it, after you become Krishna conscious. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I didn't have a good sleep last night. I want to sleep in. But he's saying then the intelligence, your spiritual intelligence that's awakened because of hearing from the Guru and the scriptures, then your spiritual intelligence, the difference now is that's awakened, your spiritual intelligence, your buddhi, and that says, shut up, you crazy mind. I'm getting out of bed. I'm a soul. I'm not this body. My Guru has told me to get out of bed, chant Hare Krishna. You shut up. Get out of bed. And then it's like that. So then you see what's happening. So there's a bit of a fight going on. Before there was no fight. We just surrendered to our mind. And but now your intelligence is awake, and then there's a bit of a fight going on. And if your intelligence is strong enough, then you beat the mind. So the mind says, oh, I'm going to sleep more. And the intelligence says, no, it's time to get up. This is time to get up and chant. Or if you're at the temple, it's time to go to Mangalarti. Time to get up and chant. So do it. Shut up. Like that. So that's good. That's good. That's progress. So yeah, enthusiasm, which relates with determination. We need enthusiasm, and this faith, that's nischayad, this faith or confidence. So we're very confident. What are we confident in? Are we confident in ourselves? Not at all. I'm a gone case, a hopeless case, Kali Yuga blooper. But what we're confident in is Krishna's so merciful. And Lord Chaitanya, he's even more merciful. And Srila Prabhupada, he's the most merciful. So we're confident in them. That's where our confidence comes from. That Lord Chaitanya has come to save my useless backside. That Prabhupada's come to save my butt. So wow, that's cool. Thank you so much. And we write on that. That's what we're confident in. So we're not confident in our own strengths and power and everything, but we're confident in their strength, their power, their kindness, their compassion. So we're very confident. Should be very confident. Like Prabhupada said, we will chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam and dance and go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. So Prabhupada was very confident like that we'll just be Krishna conscious and we'll go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this life. that we won't be coming back. He was very confident, and he expected all of his disciples to be very confident. So we should have that confidence. We should have so much faith, so much confidence. If I just be Krishna conscious, I will be successful. And then Daryat means patient. But although, yes, we will go back to Godhead, but not right now. It's going to take some time. Therefore, patience is a virtue, right? You've heard that saying. I joined the Hare Krishna. I'm devotee already. There's something wrong with this process. I give up. No, like that, you can't do it like that. You can't say, I'm giving it 6 months to become a pure devotee. If it doesn't do it in 6 months, then I give up. Prabhupada gives the example, when a woman gets married, she has such a strong desire for a child. But can she have the child immediately?
Do you mean before 9 months or?
Yeah. She has a really strong desire. She's got a husband now. I want a child now. No, it's not going to happen. You have to wait the 9 months, So that's patience. You have to be patient. Anything good in life, it takes some time. Especially if you want something very good, it takes more time. What are we desiring in Krishna consciousness? To have the association of God. Is that a small thing? Krishna. Eternal life. That's where we're aiming for. That's what we want. That's our desire. To have an eternal life full of bliss with God, the supreme person, the purest person. You think you're going to get that in 2 minutes? No, it's going to take some time. Yeah, we should be confident, yes, by their mercy, that they're going to get us back there one way or another if we just stick to the process. But it's going to take a little time. We have to go through some purification. We have to become eligible. We're wanting a very great thing. There's some eligibility. In Sanskrit, it's called adhikar. It means you have to become eligible. So what makes us eligible is like what we've been saying, that we chant 16 rounds every day. We follow the 4 regulator principles every day. And for the rest of this life, until the body drops down dead, that we follow this process. And then we can achieve the results. Then you've got the child, the spiritual child, like that. One
of my teachers that was in the fitness industry, if you said to him, I want to be a marathon runner, he would say, do the work. If you want to be a black belt at karate, do the work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So same with this.
Yeah. The saying is also right along what that's saying. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. You have to do the work and then result. So we're confident about getting the result, going back to Godhead, Krishna's association, but we have to do the work. We have to go through a bit of pain. Some in Sanskrit it's called tapasya, means austerity. You have to voluntarily go through some difficulties in order to achieve what you want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And we have Krishna's association going back home, back to Godhead. We hit the jackpot. It's worth it. Whatever we have to do to get that, it's worth it. Chanting 16 rounds, that's nothing. That's so easy. Following these rules, that's like nothing. Previously in Satya Yuga, you have to stand on your head for 60,000 years and press your nose and fasting and naked and no people around you and, so austere and everything. This is nothing. What Lord Chaitanya's made it so easy. I mean, it's actually not much of an austerity, you know. I mean, like chanting, especially like on Friday nights. You remember those nights at the Bhakti
Oh,
Tree?
great nights.
Would you say that's an austerity? That's difficult. That's like
great.
so enjoyable. He's made it so enjoyable. You know, the only reason why we say it's an austerity is because our crazy mind, you know. So the crazy mind is so stubborn and doesn't want to surrender to Krishna, doesn't want to chant. So in that way, it's the difficulty is trying to subdue the mind. You know, it doesn't want to. You know, there would have been a lot of people that never made it on the Friday night to the Bhakti Tree, isn't it? People that said they were going to come. So many said they were going to come, they never came.
Mm.
What was the obstacle? So many. Their mind, other people's minds. You know, so many things, so many obstacles. So like that. So it is a bit of an austerity. You know, we have to, you know, keep the mind under control. But here, if we follow these guidelines, you know, like enthusiasm, confidence,
Conviction.
determination, like that, follow the guidelines of the scriptures. Sangha Tyagat, Prabhupada doesn't use these words, but Sangha Tyagat means to give up the association of non-devotees. That's an important principle of Bhakti Yoga. So that doesn't mean necessarily that you can't associate with anyone that's not a devotee, but be careful, don't take on their vibes. Don't take on their association. You know what I'm saying? Give them Krishna's association. When you meet with non-devotees, talk with them about Krishna. Don't hear their crap. I mean, to excuse the French. You know, and don't eat their rubbish. Give them prasadam. You know, like Prabhupada, you'll hear on a tape, Prabhupada says on the tape, don't talk nonsense. Chant Hare Krishna. Have you heard that? He says, don't talk nonsense. Chant Krishna. You know, so like that, you know, don't hear their nonsense. You know, you chant Hare Krishna to them. You talk to them about Krishna, whatever. You feed them prasadam. Don't eat their nonsense like that. So that's what it means, you know, that you have to give up the association of non-devotees. I mean, it's a big thing now. We have to be careful, you know. There's so much propaganda from the media and the governments, and it's just rubbish. It's complete rubbish. They're lying. They're cheating. They're evil. They're demons, you know. So don't take that on, because what's going to happen if you keep listening to that rubbish, it's going to weaken your enthusiasm. It's going to weaken your determination. It's going to confuse your mind. One man, neighbor, he came to me the other week. He was driving by while I was walking the road. He said, "Oh, I'm so confused." Well, yeah, that's what you get if you listen to confused people and stupid people. You know, just so the solution is don't listen to all their nonsense, you know. I mean, sometimes devotees do, you know, want to know what's going on in the world so that you can be up, you know, relevant, you know, preach to people in a relevant way, you know, with all the modern things. But don't let it just take over your life and suck your energy out of you and fill up your mind with trash. You know, we spend, you know, time cleaning all the trash out of our mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. If then nice chanting, you cleaned your mind, and then you go press the button on the TV and then offload all that negativity and junk on your mind. And then what are we doing? We're like, this is like the elephant taking a bath syndrome. You know, elephant takes bath very nicely. And then what does it do?
Roll in the sand or sprays the sand or mud all over.
It rolls in the mud. Rolls in the mud and throws mud. It throws mud all over itself. So what's the point of that, you know? So, you know, just be careful like that. And so you can hear some of their propaganda if you're going to use it to preach against them. But if you're not a big preacher or anything, there's probably no real need to. Maybe you heard about it once or whatever, that, there's this virus and COVID or whatever, but don't keep hearing it again and again. I mean, why? Do you need to hear it every day? That's called brainwashing. What they're doing to the public is not actually washing, brain dirtying. Actually Prabhupada is brainwashing. He's washing the brain, cleaning the brain. But they're just dirtying the brain, throwing this stuff every day, making people afraid. That's their agenda. Make people so afraid and easy to control when people do what they say and everything like that. So just be careful about that. Sangha Chagat, we have to give up association. Don't take on their stuff. We give them Krishna consciousness. We don't take on their materialistic consciousness. So that will help us to be successful. And Sato Vrate means following in the footsteps of their previous teachers, following in the footsteps. So we see, how Prabhupada behaved like that, how our guru behaves, what they did. Prabhupada, his guru like that, Rupa Goswami, or the Guru Chaitanya, and we follow in their footsteps. They chanted, so we chant. They danced, we dance. They take prasadam, we take prasadam. They avoided the association of non-devotees. We do that. I'll give you one example, talking about getting back to what we've just been saying. Prabhupada did not trust non-devotees. Therefore, for me to follow in the footsteps means I do not trust non-devotees. It doesn't mean I don't love non-devotees, because there's a soul within the non-devotee. It's part and parcel of Krishna too. But I cannot trust what comes out of their mouth, because I know they're in Maya. They're an illusion, delusion, terrible illusion, the darkness of ignorance. So they're completely in ignorance. They're under the grip of Maya. So whatever comes out of their mouth is illusory. They're guaranteed they're cheating. Remember, there's 4 defects of a conditioned soul. This is one of the first sessions we taught you, boys and girls, in this. We remember we did the original soul searching seminar. We talked about this. We had it on the projector, the overhead projector. The 4 defects of a conditioned soul. One is imperfect senses. Another one is we make mistakes. Another one is we're subject to illusion. And the last one is we have a cheating propensity. So these are 4 defects with every conditioned soul, and until we get...
Sorry, Abhay, can you repeat the last 2 for me?
We're subject to illusion. Maya, subject to illusion, Maya. And we have a cheating propensity. We have a propensity to cheat. So every single conditioned soul in the universe, defects.
Cheating defects, did you call it?
They're called defects, yeah. These are the 4 defects of every conditioned soul. I mean, every soul that comes into the material world is conditioned by these defects as well as other things. So, and why do we listen to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita? Because he's not a conditioned soul. Krishna doesn't cheat. He's not under illusion. He doesn't have imperfect senses. And he doesn't make mistakes. That's why we listen to him. And because Prabhupada is fully surrendered to Krishna, he's also in the same category. He doesn't have those defects because Prabhupada repeats what Krishna says. See? even ourselves, right? I mean, I have so many defects.
Me too.
Yeah. But our word is perfect. As long as we repeat what our guru has said. You understand?
Yep.
That because we're repeating what we've heard from the disciplic succession, then these words are perfect. I may not be perfect, but the words are perfect. But someone that's not connected with a disciplic succession, that's not Krishna conscious, their words are just cheating, just illusory, so many mistakes, and the knowledge has got through imperfect senses. So don't take it too seriously. It should be going, you know, in one ear out the other. Don't take it too seriously. And Prabhupada said once, he said, if you want to establish what's the truth, it's the opposite of what they say. Do you understand? Do you have faith in that? Do you believe that? Not easy, is it? Because we're so conditioned. Oh, the Prime Minister has spoken. I have to believe in him. You know, we have so much faith, and oh, the teacher has said we come from monkeys. You know, or my father has said, you know, that there's no God. You know, we accept so many authorities, but they're actually not real authorities. But, you know, we can't truly become fully Krishna conscious unless we reject all of those so-called authorities and accept the real authority, which is three aspects: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. These are our authorities. Guru means the spiritual master. Sadhu means the saintly devotees. And Shastra means the scriptures. These are our authorities. This is where we get the truth from. You're not going to get the truth from anywhere else. So going by what Prabhupada said, you know, the truth is the opposite to what they say, because they're in ignorance, right? You know, so if they say, oh, COVID is very dangerous, then what's the truth?
Probably not so dangerous.
Not so dangerous. The vaccines are completely safe. I'm not so sure about that. Like that. So like that, we should go through life like that, you know, having good association with devotees and the spiritual master and the scriptures, and be very careful in how we deal with outsiders. We love them and we want to give them Krishna consciousness, and we pray to for them, and we care about them and everything. We're not callous or anything. And but we don't get too intimate with them, and we don't take on their consciousness. We don't want anything from them. Like Prabhupada said, I have come to the West not to take anything from the West. Now, this is significant because every other Indian, pretty much prior to Prabhupada coming to the West, had come to left India and gone to the West to get something from the West, i.e. money, i.e. women, i.e. power, so forth. But Prabhupada said, I've come to the West not to take anything from the West, but to give them what they have forgotten, Krishna consciousness. You know, and we see, you know, that no one else had been successful in spreading Krishna consciousness before Prabhupada, you know, but Prabhupada was successful because he was just giving the pure Krishna consciousness. He was following these things. Other Indians that went to the West, you know what happened to them? They became like Westerners. They started eating meat. They started having intoxication. They started smoking. They started having illicit sex. That means they're taking on the consciousness from the Westerners. They started eating with a knife and a fork and sitting at the table in chairs and wearing trousers. But did Prabhupada change himself to become like Westerners when he went to the West? No. He didn't change his dress to suit them. He didn't change his eating. He didn't change his hairstyle. Oh, all the hippies here have long hair. I'll grow long hair. No. He kept his hair short. And what did the hippies do?
Got short hair.
They shaved theirs off. They became like him. That's the idea. They become like him, not that he becomes like them. If he becomes like them, everything is finished. If they become like him, then everyone is progressing. You understand? So we have to give people Krishna consciousness. And we don't want to take on their consciousness. So, you know, we have to be very careful about that. And if you're not very strong to be able to do that, give other people Krishna consciousness, then it's probably better that you don't associate with too many, you know, because then you run more risk. You know, so, but for a devotee that's more advanced than preachers, as a preacher, then we mix with so many people, no problem. And we try to give them Krishna consciousness. But in the beginning stages, it's probably better to be careful, don't associate too much. Because if your faith is weak, getting back to faith, if your faith is weak in Krishna, and then you're mixing with people that have strong faith in Maya, then if their faith is stronger in Maya than yours is in Krishna, they might swing you over to their side. And that's not good. That's not good. So, you know, we have to be careful. Yeah. So we have to follow in the footsteps of the previous teachers. That's what's recommended. So yeah, they were very strictly following these things, practicing these things. It's important to look at this because this is the formula if we really want to go back to Godhead, you know, if we want to be successful in yoga. I mean, we can fluff around and, you know, whatever you feel like doing, you know, whatever is, you know, like that, you know, but then you're not going to be, it's not giving the real thing, not giving the real thing. So many so-called yoga teachers, oh, you do whatever you like, just come and do some yoga once a week and give me some money, of course, Guru Dakshin, and then do whatever you like. If you want to eat whatever you want, have sex, whatever you want, whatever. So many people talk like that, or wishy-washy, easy, you know, have thousands of followers, really easy, you know, so make it really attractive, thousands of followers, you know, and then you give the real thing, which is, you know, very serious and everything, and then not many people, because, you know, it's some austerity there. But, you know, how many people in the $2 shop?
I would say not as many.
Not as many. Well, I should say, well, compared to what? Okay, is there more people in the $2 shop or the more people in the jewelry shop?
I would think the $2 shop.
Yeah, there's more people attracted to the cheap things than the very expensive things. I think. So this, you know, the real yoga system is a price to pay. Price to pay.
What do they say? What's that one about principles of freedom? What do they say?
Regulative principles of freedom.
Yeah. That it starts with principles of pain or something.
I haven't heard of that. Principles of the regulated principles of freedom. It's in chapter 2, text 66. Let's look at that. We don't give any principles of pain, Bhakti Mala. What are you talking about?
No, it was compared to something. I can't remember.
Oh, 264. 264. Bob, do you want to read that one?
Yep, I've got it.
Yeah.
What do you want? Just the
Translation.
Apologies.
English translation of 264.
Not the Sanskrit. You're just talking about, okay, but
Yeah,
a person, sorry?
Yes.
On it?
Yep.
But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord.
So that it's good that Bhakti Mala brought that up, because it's when you follow these principles that you get the mercy. That's how you attract the mercy of the Lord, and then you get free. Then he frees you, because he's the supreme controller. So as soon as you please the Lord, he's got the key out of here, you know. So he's got the key out of the material world. So he just sets you free. But he's only gonna give you the mercy if you follow his principles. If you follow his principles, he says, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do that, step 4, do that. And if you do that, like it says, enthusiasm, confidence, patience, follow the regulated principles, avoid be detached from non-devotees, and follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas, then you will be successful. So you have to follow his process, and then you get the result. But you can't get the result without following the process. So that's the thing, you know, 99% of the people are too stupid, too much of ignorance and passion to follow the process, you know. So therefore they don't get the mercy, and they have to come back again, you know. So, and therefore, I mean, Prabhupada's main purpose was education, because yeah, we are born stupid. Well, I'm not talking about women or men or whatever, Indians or Westerners, or we're all in Kali Yuga, we're all stupid. But and ignorance means. So that's what he was focusing on, education. You know, so even though we were stupid before, but we don't want to stay stupid. You know, we get educated, we get taught that we're not the body, that we're a spirit soul, that Krishna's a supreme person, he's the supreme enjoyer, he's our master, we're a servant. Like that, we should do what pleases him, don't do stuff just to please ourselves, like that. So we get educated in all these things. And then the real thing, what's our real contribution then? What's our real contribution? Everything is coming from him. He's the chanting 16 rounds, following the principles, everything like that. What's our part in it?
Well, love and devotion to Krishna.
That will come later. There's not so much love and devotion in the beginning.
Do you mean faith in it, or I'm not quite sure?
Yeah. Faith in it. Yeah.
Like faith in the teachings.
I'm just remembering Prabhupada. People would glorify Prabhupada that you wrote so many books, you built so many temples, you made so many devotees, and Prabhupada said, I don't take credit for any of that. That's all the mercy of my spiritual master. He said, if you want to give me credit, I accept one credit.
And he never deviated.
Yes.
From his teachings.
Yes, of his spiritual master. He said, I didn't. Once again. So he said, I didn't deviate 1 inch from the instructions of my spiritual master. So that's our contribution, you know. So that's what's going to set us apart from the rest. How closely you can follow your spiritual teacher, your spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada's guru, had thousands of disciples. Many of them were sannyasis, means completely renounced, no connection with the opposite sex, so austere, everything. But only one person really excelled out of all those thousands. Only one. And that quality, which Prabhupada attributed to his success, was that he strictly followed, he didn't deviate from instructions of his guru. Whatever his guru said, follow that, So that's something we should try to work on that. And then another big thing, which we won't talk about now, we don't have time, is what does the spiritual master want? That means you need to understand the mood of your teacher, the mood of your spiritual master. What pleases your spiritual master? What does he want? So that's another thing, and that takes some sincerity in that, trying to understand the heart of the person, what they want. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Let's read the purport. It's not a very big purport. So we're back to 624. As for determination. Second paragraph in the purport of 624.
You're going to read, Bob?
Oh, yeah. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal, so the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate towards the small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga, in Krishna consciousness may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves.
Well, it's nice, isn't it? That's encouraging.
Yep.
So we're like little sparrows.
Yeah.
But Krishna's very kind, when he sees we're, like I said, when he sees we're trying our best, then Krishna will help us. Krishna will help us. So yeah, Garuda is the carrier of Vishnu. So when Vishnu comes to kill the demons or so forth, you'll notice some pictures that Vishnu's riding on the back of this big bird. So that big bird he's riding on is Garuda. So yeah, just like that sparrow wanted to get her, the eggs were lost in the ocean, so the sparrow wanted her eggs back, and the eggs weren't coming. So then the sparrow said, "Well, I'm going to empty out the ocean." Yeah, right. But that was so determined, And then when Garuda heard about that, then he took pity on the bird, and then he approached the ocean and said, "Look, mate, you better hand those eggs back, otherwise I'm gonna deal to you." So and then the egg came, so that's a good example. So we're very small, very weak, but we should be very determined, and when Krishna sees that, then he'll help us, and he's so much more, well, I mean, we're a lot weaker than the material energy. We're a lot smaller, a lot weaker. But Krishna is the master of Maya. So although we're under Maya, under the control of Maya, but Krishna's not. So if Krishna's pleased with our efforts, then Krishna can cause Maya to back off and help us to progress. So that should give us a lot of enthusiasm, you know, and make our determination more easier. It's not impossible. It's not, our determination to go back to Godhead is not impossible. It's very possible. Prabhupada said that impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Why do we say that? And there's no such word as impossible.
I guess if you put enough effort into it, things can happen.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of things that's impossible for us. But you tell me what's impossible for God. You know, so basically, if God wants something to happen, he'll make it happen, even if it defies the laws of nature or whatever. Like, for example, you know, Krishna lifted a mountain. I mean, basically, you know, you can't do that, you know, but it defies gravity and everything. But he did it, you know, because he's God. So anything can happen, you know, that even a very degraded soul can get liberated from the material world, go back to Godhead. No problem at all if Krishna wants. So we place our faith in that, and, you know, because of that, we should have a lot of enthusiasm. Things like hearing that, we should give us a lot of enthusiasm practicing Krishna consciousness. But we should be determined like that bird, you know. We don't want to be lazy. You know, we don't want to be lazy, then you can't make progress. Then we should be very enthusiastic or very determined. We started Krishna consciousness. We're going to go right to the finishing line. Even if there's some difficulties along the way, because between the start and the finish, there may be some difficulties, right? Like, what do they have? The marathon, right? They have the, what do they call it? The Iron Man? Do you have something called an Iron?
Yep,
Iron
sure do.
In Australia? It's tough, isn't it? They have so big obstacles and long distances. They have to go through water, over the land, mountains. You know, there's some obstacles, but the Iron Man, right? We have to be like that, you know, so determined.
Even they hit the wall, but they get up the next day.
Yeah, then you just get up again and just start again, you know. So 100 times we might fall down, and then 100 times you have to pick yourself up like that. So some of my devotee friends have actually, 3 of them, they've taken up a walk from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island.
Wow.
Thousands of kilometers. And they're not spring chickens. They're all in their late 50s, early 60s, the 3 of them. And but they're determined, you know, and I'm sure it's not going to be easy. I mean, they've said, like, some days it was pouring with rain and they showed all mud all up their legs and everything, and the tent, everything's all wet and everything, trying to light a fire and everything. It's hard, but you just keep on going.
Good on them.
You know, we had a saying when we were distributing books, because sometimes it was very easy, very good, and sometimes it's very difficult, that no one was interested in the books and people were rude and obnoxious and everything like that, and it's some hard times, you know. Or you'd meet some born-again Christian and he'd be, oh, you go to hell, and you're like this, you got to surrender to Jesus and all this, and you have to listen to so much stuff, and sometimes you'd go, oh. But we had a saying amongst the book distributors, just our mantra, this was our book distribution mantra, just keep on going. Just keep on going. If it's good, keep on going. And if it's bad, keep on going, you know, but don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't process, you know, keep going. Anyone like to say anything? Anything comes to mind?
Just that appreciate you being there, Ape.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Don't go away.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe.
See, will you be on next week?
Krishna willing, yes. Krishna willing, we'll be here next week. Yes.
All right.
Be willing.
And regards to Gianti as well.
Okay, we'll do. We'll do.
Right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night, Bob.
Hey, Bhakti Mala, I'll just turn the recording off.